What's up, everybody? Welcome to this week's episode of the Comeback Couples Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Jennison, with my
Kendra Jennison.
Lovely wife, Kendra Jennison.
That's me.
And I believe we got 2 or 3 of these in the bank, Ryan said. So I don't know when this will be hitting. But at the time we're filming it, it is coming off of our anniversary trip.
Yes. Best trip ever.
What do you want to talk about that? I know what I'm going to talk about, but I want to hear just like when I say that.
Didn't want to come back to America. Loved it. Obsessed. Can't wait to go back. That's how I feel.
Can't wait to go back. Well, that's actually the topic. Mm-hmm. And it's going to be a little bit about, it's going to kind of go hand in hand in where we're at in our life right now, right? But there's a slang. There's a saying down there that everyone says. What do they say?
Pura Vida.
Pura Vida, right? Pura Vida, pure life, simple life. Mm-hmm. And I just did a call on on my Warriors Alliance, which is my mid-level mastermind network group where we have guys who got done with alcohol or control the alcohol that are looking to establish dominance and dominion over their life, and they're just winners. Anyways, we're talking about like a simple life. I was talking about the conversations coming in through the jungle, you know, where the ocean meets the jungle and the marsh and the land that's in between and the different climates, the rain and the sun and the birds flying and you just kind of being there. We drove all the way in the rain and then got there and it kind of opened up that night in the dinner. And we were down in a place which essentially is a third world country, right? We Google it, said it's a third world country, but in a lot of ways, I feel like not the country, but the lifestyle that those people live have it figured out better than United States.
Couldn't agree more.
So it's interesting too, because so we're coming back and we're in the process of like, do we buy this house? Do we not buy this house? We're out walking in our field last night, talking about the goals we want and the things. And the topic that I did here today was creating joy, mm-hmm. for creating like real joy, but not for the things, like not having things create joy. Yep. And I think what I wanted to talk about with you on that today is because I feel like that's how you live your life.
I agree.
And I think you could give some good insight because like we're yin and yang. I found myself down there in a place of simplicity, right? Mm-hmm. Trying to add complexity to what it is, which is my thoughts, my emotions, my desires, my wants, my needs. Oh, it would be fucking great to have a house over here, right? I bet for $1 million on this cliff, I could have this house overlooking at this, and I could do this with my private jet and my plane. And my mind goes to these things, which is joy. Mm-hmm. But actually, it's actually not joy. It's actually creates anger because it means I have to go to work harder, which takes me further and further away. But yet I love the work at the same time because that's where the joy is. And it's a real fucking complex fest of thoughts.
I think that's why, like you said perfectly, you and I are so yin and yang, because to live the life that we want to live, you know, and there are things in your life that you want to have success over. And so it includes a mindset like you have, because if we just had my mindset, you know, you just said you're in Costa Rica and you're like, oh, it'd be nice to have $1 million house here and do this and have a cook and all these things, which is awesome, right? Because I don't think that way. I'm in Costa Rica and I am, you know, staring at all the freaking flowers and learning the birds and feeling the warm water of the waves and feeling the sun and feeling the rain. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is the best. Like, it doesn't get any better than this. That's what, like, in those moments when I'm truly, and everything is calm and it's quiet and there is no hustle and bustle. There is no this constant, you know, anxiety of like, oh, you're missing out on something or there's something greater that you should be searching for or going after. It's like, no, everything you need is right here, and it's beautiful and it's perfect and it's amazing and you're happy. You know, I think that's the biggest thing out of all of, like, in those moments, I just feel so free and so happy that in my brain where I go is like, you don't need anything other than this.
And to be clear, like, you do that here in the United States too.
I do that here in the United States.
You do it in a field.
I do get a little bit more distracted, you know, per anybody. Just, it is different.
It's the continuous marketing.
It is. And it is so different. The food is different. The people are different. You know, the conversations are different. Whether that's good or bad it doesn't matter, you know, to each their own. But for me, I just, in those moments, you know, I'm like, no, I truly like felt like a grievance coming back to the United States after had been in Costa Rica with you for a week. Cause I was like, I don't want to leave this. This makes me feel so pure and free and calm and just like everything. If the kids were with us, I'm sure I could have convinced you to stay longer.
Sure.
You know?
So there's a word that came into my mind and I haven't really spoke with you about it. I've stacked about it, and I'll actually get up and grab my phone and read to you. But it's what I think you do better than me, but it's what I'm seeking to be alongside you at all time, and how I've tried to create this life, which is harmony.
Yep.
Right? Because I don't believe in balance.
Yep.
I just don't think that, on the flip side of it, we're staying at a 5-star resort in Costa Rica, flying first class, you know.
That was true. It was part of the experience.
So it's part of, my point is, like, I have to work hard to provide that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you don't, because there's this like dichotomy. Like, there's other people that just got their ticket, backpack, hitchhike, and they're fucking living and experiencing the same thing at the same time. So it sits inside of, like, how do you want to experience the joy of the journey?
And it's so difficult for me. Is the way that we travel and the way that we get to experience life freaking amazing? Absolutely. Like, I am so grateful, and I know you're so grateful. You work your ass off to provide exactly what you provide for your family, and I am literally like, sometimes I can't even believe that it's my life. Truly, I can't. But at the same time, when you say that, and you know me, whether I was sitting first class or whether I literally had a backpack and I was staying in a shack and I was still eating the same food that other people are eating, you know, maybe I would have had to cook it myself, but I don't know. It's just, it's all the same to me, you know. Maybe I need a comfy bed, you know. Yeah. but other, like, I just feel like for me that peace and that harmony, like, I'm just so good with the beauty of everything for exactly what it is that I'm not trying to change it, you know. Like, Costa Rica is gorgeous and the people are amazing and the water is beautiful, with or without that 5-star resort, you know. So that's just how I, you know, my brain works that way.
And I told you this, though, like, I've stayed in a hut in Jamaica with no running water. And I had a lot of fun, drank a lot of Red Stripes. They were warm. But, like, I mean, I know what it's like to experience, like, a third world country.
Jamaica is different, though.
It's a little different, right? But
it is different.
Still, I was in this jungle, and my point is I probably could have went in one of these huts with all those guys, but I choose to want to live life a certain way.
And you work very hard for it.
And I work very hard for it, but that doesn't mean that I think I'm better than anybody else for the way that I choose to live my life.
No.
And I learned a fuckload from watching the people in Costa Rica, how they operate. So I want to share with you this. This is just one piece of my stack, not the whole stack. You always crave what you want right before you recognize you already have it. Right now, you're in a season of feelings, which is leading you to seeing the whole picture of your life. I want you to know, Mark, chaos is also harmony. You're uniquely built and equipped to do things differently. Do you know that feeling of creating you have right now? Also, how you don't care to lose anyone along the way? It's because the message has to come from you. And back to what you said at the beginning of this stack, time. This was on your time, but your time of acceptance for your next level. You are ready. Kendra is ready. Nothing else matters here right now, because you are harmony and perseverance combined in love. I share that with you, like that last piece, harmony, perseverance, love, because those are things we've always known that I'm perseverance.
Definitely.
Like, we've already, that's very easy.
For you,
I'm looking at like building a whole simple life. And I'm looking at like this simple life. I didn't have a simple life when I chose perseverance, because I had a very hard life. Yeah. Because I had complexity in the face of simplicity, because I want to fucking charge forward, and it takes and it robs from my joy. And sometimes it was hard to experience. It still is at times, right? Going on certain trips, staying in hotels, or wanting to be the next thing, the higher thing, the best thing, more things, right? Thing. And I enjoy it because I can have it.
Sure.
But when you lose sight of the fucking reason why you're doing the thing, creates a frustration. Yep. And I was also stacking earlier inside that stack, yin and yang, right? There's 20-year-old Mark who took off to Southern California with a broken leg, $120 in his name, a hot pink cast, and he stole gasoline all the way across the United States. Yeah. No cell phone.
Yep.
Just in one basket of clothes. And like, was going to go fucking conquer the world. And he had fun, and he drank, and he was carefree, and he was footloose, fancy free, like always just fun guy. And then there's this like rigid, disciplined, structured, angry. I can't even say, sometimes it's like, yeah, I have a lot of anger, but sometimes like discipline and just like doing things creates like tension. Maybe it's not anger, but it's tension. And I live this life sometimes. I'm like, damn, I don't know which side of this fucking life I want to live on.
I feel like that's where you're at right now in your life, because I and we talk about it so often, but you were so hot when you were like in California. Like you just said, you were crazy, you were carefree, down to earth, like just loosey-goosey living your life. And now you're the exact opposite of that. You're very rigid, you're very disciplined, you're very consistent. You leave no room for, any, I don't want to say fun in your life, but you're just very like, this is the mission, this is what I got to do. That's it. Like you're very militant and rigid in that way. And so right now, this era of your life is figuring out, you hate to say the word balance, but I live my life totally balanced. I like that word. You can be fucking both. You can be carefree and you can also be militant and rigid when things need to get done and stern. And you can also laugh and have fun and dance in the rain, but you can also be like, okay, actually that was fun, but I still got to do this too, So you call it harmony, I call it balance. It's all the same to me.
So for me, though, where I want to live is right in between.
Yeah.
I feel it's like a magnet.
And I feel like
have you ever seen a magnet that kind of like how they like have this polarizing energy, like a negative and a positive? It's like we can't really push them together, like they won't go together. If I could live and exist in that type of place, I would be very joyful, because that's the word that I'm going to use. There's joy in the middle of it. And I found this, I'm finding this recently. Work and working hard brings me joy.
Yeah.
Watching my kids thrive and be able to put the best clothes on them brings me joy.
Yep.
Watching my team and everybody on it make six figures brings me fucking joy.
Yep, it does.
This other side over here, I'm going to be straight honest with you, sitting in a bar, having a drink with you at some point at the end of my life when I look back and made it brings me fucking joy.
Sure.
Playing Boom Boom Pow, like on the fucking, on the jukebox,
Radio, yeah.
like or whatever, over and over and over, and just having fun brings me fucking joy. Yep. Standing outside in the rain in Costa Rica, feeling the jungle, the energy, the spiritual alive and awakeness brings me joy. But for me, like, I can have it all.
You can.
And I want to live in the middle of that all the time. So when the topic today is on a simple life, do you even think a simple life exists with me?
I think it will. I think it will.
Your life is pretty simple, would you say?
My life for sure is simple. The way that I, like, if we're just like me solo, how I choose to view the world and how I choose to live my life every day, super simple. And I'm happy AF, I'm so even keel. I am genuinely just a really happy, bubbly human. Like I love that. You're not that way though. And that's not a bad thing. Like I said, you have stresses and things that if I had to deal with that, I wouldn't be able to be this person, and that for a while was the truth of me, where I was always happy, but I had stresses and I had things that I was always constantly worried about, and I couldn't be this Kendra, right? But I do believe that you will come to a point in your life when you will have that, because you're speaking about it right now and you want it. I don't know when that is. So
here's an interesting concept I've had, is that I've already have it. It's just, when do I want to take it out of my toolbox?
Yeah, there you go.
I don't think it's anything. It is a skill, but I've already done the work to create it. If I've experienced it, or you listening to this have experienced it and felt it one time in your life, it can be replicated, reproduced, and brought up to attention again.
Yeah.
So if I've been able to experience harmony and joy from doing nothing, it can be done again. It's just, how do I want to get it back? How do I want it to feel? What do I want it to look like? So the topic that I wanted, Pura Vida, about pure life, is the actual, like, that's what it really means, right? Mm-hmm. Pure life is just a statement of everything that I choose here at IAMACOMEBACK. Yep. I want to live a pure life. Mm-hmm. Happy, loved.
And I think that it's really important to note that men are biologically just different than women. So how I feel just so free and so at ease and at peace and with harmony and balance and all these like magical things, I truly genuinely have that. I don't necessarily think it's the wrong thing if a man doesn't ever have that like a woman has that. We're built completely freaking different, even like a long time ago. You had to hunt, you had to provide, you had to do. So it's like ingrained in you to your happiness genuinely comes from those things, so for you to maybe think that you'll have complete like serenity in doing nothing and just joy and just being. I don't think that's true either. I do think that
for like 2 days, I think.
Yeah, 2 days you'd be like, okay, this is great. And then you go back into, okay, I need to hunt, I need to kill, what can I do to like be manly and strong? That's just how we're built. So I don't think you fight it. I don't think you try to figure it out. I think you genuinely just this makes me happy in this moment right now, and you feel it and you freaking love it. And then on the days when you're like killing work and you're making a boatload of money and you're just like, go, go, go. Great. Feel that. Love that. Accept that and be happy about that. Like you don't have to be one or the other, everything or anything. And you can be pissed off on days too. Like it's just accepting literally every feeling that you're feeling as like, okay, this is it. Like, all right. That's like the pure vida. That's like truly feeling and accepting everything for exactly what it is, feeling it and like, okay, this is it. Like I'm working through it. Let's go.
I don't know what it's like to be a woman.
No, you don't.
But I know what it's like to be a man, specifically a driven man.
Yes, you do.
Because I have a lot of friends that are men, I believe, I guess. I have friends that are men, but they don't have the same drive. They don't have the same desire. There's entitlement. There's whatever. Not to talk shit about. They're just not the same. Not saying I'm better or whatever.
Just is what it is. Yeah.
But I know what it's like to be a man every day who is driven to get up and fights like his own unique battle to try to find harmony. And this is what a lot of the guys, not a lot, 100% of the guys go through the same shit. Building a business, right? To keep food, to keep a roof over your wife and your kid's head, to be present for your wife and to love her and pay attention to her, not just for sex, but because she means something to you.
And you genuinely like it.
Genuinely want to be there. Yeah. To love your kids, but not take from your business while you're loving your kids, to still be present for both of those, and to build your best self. Those like 4 things are not easy to do. Absolutely
not easy. I think that men who continuously work on those 4 things and you don't have to be perfect. God, no, like that's damn near impossible to pretend that you could be perfect in all of them. But continuously working on all 4 of those is going to make you such a like nonstop, unstoppable man.
So a lot of I'll share this on the call here. These guys are on the podcast. A lot of my lack of, we'll use the word lack, but a lot of my lack of self-worth or appreciation for myself comes from grading myself off those 4 areas.
Oh, I know.
And when I can't hit those 4 areas at a level that I determine my standards, my expectations, and I don't exceed those, I fucking feel like a loser.
Oh, I know you do.
Like, I legitimately feel like a loser.
I know. I have to deal with your...
Like there's even things that you don't know because I don't say it. Because I'm like, oh, it'll just add friction, not to our relationship, but just there's no reason to say it. But like, how many fucking times do I know that like I'm sitting at the kitchen table and my computer's up or something's going on over here, and Jade's telling me something, and Phoenix is telling me something, and you're telling me something, and they need me right now, and this is going on, and I don't know which way to fucking go, but I have to do it all at the same time. And I do it, but I miss one. Somebody gets missed. Something gets off, and I'm like, fuck.
You take it very, very personally, yeah.
But you have to.
Sure.
At least I have to.
Yeah.
Because in a simple, a pure life, if you will, is me being able to do that.
If that's what that means to you.
That's what it means to me.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that everyone has to do it my way.
Yeah.
Some dudes, like a pure life for them is just mailing it in, smoking joints, surfing, living life. Cool, that's for you. I wasn't wired that way.
Exactly, yeah.
But I was wired that way. That's where I'm going, right? So I share with you who I'm becoming. The young Mark was...
I don't think you were wired that way.
Man, if I could drink beer and get fucked up all day long, I would.
I think that you were just doing what most adolescents kids do. You're like,
yeah, it's all
screw it.
It's all 35. You're right. Adolescents at 35.
Well, you had a different lifestyle than most people growing up. So you did things a little differently. But I think how you're wired is genuinely who you are right now. And then... But you loved the carefree Mark. So you're like, you know what? I want moments and pieces of that more often in this life right now because that also brought me happiness.
Well,
you could be wired both.
No, you're right. But if I look at it, what truly brought me happiness in it, and it's things that I could have right now, which is, I don't even know if I shared with you, but some of my goals shifted back from, I think I shared this with you since Costa Rica, was like, the things that actually made me happy were not the drinking or not the carefreeness. It was the ability to exercise and adventure and do the shit that I loved. Skiing, surfing, skateboarding, whether I'm good at it or not, dirt bikes. It's fun. Yeah. Those things made me fun. And like, I've not been able to replicate somewhere along the line in my life. Like I went extreme, if you will, like really, really good at this and then really, really good at business. And like, but why can't I have them both?
You can.
Right. And
I think that's what you're figuring out right now.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, right? Like, so what has to happen in the middle?
Exactly.
How does my home life?
Yep.
How does my relationship? How does my parenting? How does my self-development? What needs to happen inside of those things so that I can be a fucking master at sales, marketing, persuasion, coaching,
well, I'll tell
leading,
you,
business.
I'll tell you, and I told you before, and we've had this conversation before, but when you are on days, because it's not every day for you, because you're still trying to figure out and navigate through some of these like new eras of your life, but when you like screw the kids, screw me, like when you are genuinely good and happy and you're like, okay, I'm doing this for me because it makes me feel good. Okay, I want to go surfing because it makes me happy. When you actually take a step back and you do some of the selfish things, and I
am not a selfish man.
I know, that's what I'm saying. When you do, we as your like your family and your business, we're happier because we're like, yes.
I don't feel that.
You don't feel that because you don't want to believe that, but
No,
it's true.
I don't feel that because I think it comes from motherfuckers in my life being jealous in my previous life of what I've been able to produce and create.
Yeah.
And that I always felt guilty when I chose to live my life.
Yeah. And I think that's still true. I
It
think,
still does. I mean, people that have
but I'm just
no
saying,
bearing on our life anymore. I'm thinking about them like, oh, I shouldn't be doing this because they're probably judging me when like.
I don't think about those people at all. I'm just talking about like your like internal, your core five or your team and all these people that are genuinely surrounded by you majority of the time is like when you are happy and you are good and you come into work and you're like, yeah, I had a great time surfing, or, oh yeah, I did this morning, or I had a burrito, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah, I love burritos.
We all are like, okay, this is what life's about.
But how many times have I actually done that in the past 5 years?
Not many.
You can count on one hand.
That's what I'm saying. Not many.
Maybe one finger. Maybe this many.
But I think I think it's important to note that you put so much pressure on yourself to be like, oh, I got to be perfect and I have to hit this and the standard for myself. And I love that about you because you are wired that way. But also to know that you don't have to be freaking like, oh, I got to pay attention here, and here, and be perfect. This, and this, and this. It's like, no, just breathe. Just breathe. Be good. Take a second and be like, you know what? Love you guys, but I'm going to go, skateboard at the skate. I don't know, just whatever it is in that moment that would make you happy. We'd be like, that's freaking awesome. Because we know that when you come back home, you're going to be like, that was so cool. That was so fun. You're going to share it with us. We're going to want to listen. And we're going to say, that made him so happy. We are so happy when he is happy. And the rest just falls into place.
I think it might make you happy, but I always enjoy experiencing it with you. But then if I experience it with you, then I have to take 3 tag-alongs with me. So then it never actually becomes about me. It becomes more about them all the time, which is the payoff of being a dad. But
it is. But I think that even you just saying that is something that is a story that you tell yourself, because I know that
I can't even go to the quick trip on my own.
Our kids are just like any other kids. They want it. We're awesome parents. So yes,
it goes back to joy. Like if I'm literally going and Bailey runs up, if I'm just like, yeah, I'm thinking of the house to go up here and get myself a coffee or something. Yeah. And she wants to go, I can't say no.
Sure.
I just don't say no.
But in your heart, if in that moment, you're like, you know what, this would make me really happy if you came with, then you do.
Yeah. Well, it always makes me happy, but I felt bad last night, but not bad enough to where we didn't stop it when we made Bailey not get ice cream.
Sure. Yeah, I didn't feel bad about
that. But
that.
I think it's going to help. I know this is not this off topic, but I think it's going to help. So, simple life, pure life, Costa Rica, happiness, anniversary, wonderful time. On a scale of 1 to 10, in your life experiences, where was that one at?
My favorite one.
For real?
Yep.
Let's talk about your favorite moment. Probably when I was fighting the ocean.
That was not. I literally was cringing at you doing that. I don't even want to tell people you did that.
I told everybody.
I know.
I don't give a fuck.
You're wearing like a badge of honor. And I'm like, don't tell people that you were literally trying to fight Mother Nature, the ocean.
I saw Lieutenant Dan do it.
But seriously, my favorite part was when I was paddling out and I was chilling with Freddie out in the water, and it was all the bigger waves. And I want to say they were like 4 or 5, maybe 6 foot, and getting out there with Michael, and he just had like so much confidence. And I told myself, when we were out on the beach and he was like, okay, we're going to go out there. And I was like really scared. I was like, oh my gosh. I told myself even that night, I was like, I'm okay if I like never hit those big waves. And Michael is out on the beach. He's like, you can do it. We're going to go do it right now. He's like, you'll be safe with me. I'll keep you protected. He's like, Just listen to what I say, right? And so I paddled out there, and then we got out there, and it wasn't that bad, so I was grateful for that. And then he's like, okay, I'm gonna go help Mark now. You stay with Freddie. And so I was with Freddie, and he's like, okay, little mama, we're gonna get you your big first wave. And I was like, okay. And in that moment, I was more scared paddling out than I was to catch the wave.
Yeah, I think much easier.
Yeah, I was just so ready for it. And so when we're watching and he's teaching me, and I'm looking behind me, and he's like, okay, this is your one, paddle, paddle, paddle. And then I get up, and just in that moment, and I made sure when I was out there waiting for the perfect wave that I was looking around Costa Rica. The sun was actually shining that day. I was just so grateful for all the people around, and it was just awesome. All my friends are out there. You're coming out there. It's like, it doesn't get any better than that.
So it's interesting, right? Because that was your first big wave, and the day prior, which yours came from a place of fear.
Yep.
But then turned into love and excitement and gratitude.
And confidence in myself. I was like, oh my gosh, why was I so scared about that? And then
I think that was the end result, but I'm talking about like in that moment, like fear turned into like happiness.
Oh, for sure it did.
And then the day before, when I was hurt, and it was the last session, and I needed to go out there. I didn't go out of a place of fear. I went out of a place of anger.
Yeah. Interesting.
I went out because I was frustrated. Mm-hmm. I needed to do it. I didn't feel good enough. It's just interesting to see how we operate, right? Like the day that I went out was out of lack of self-worth, not being good enough, and needing to prove to everyone else, not myself, that I can do this.
Yeah. But even for me, out of fear, doing it was still an internal thing where I needed to prove to myself. I was like, okay, I can do this. So even though I was doing it out of fear wasn't going to stop me. It was actually a motivator for me. I was like, okay, what's the worst that's going to happen? I'm in a washing machine for 30 seconds. Like, no big deal. I can do this.
You were anyways.
I was anyways. Not that time, but
you're going to end up in it. You're going to end up in it anyways.
And so that's what I told myself as I'm paddling out there. And I was like, you know what? Like, I got this. I'm going to do it. And it's just amazing that whatever motivates you, obviously it's two different things for us the majority of the time, but it's still an amazing experience nonetheless.
Well, what I found, to kind of tie this all together, was like sitting in that ocean. Yeah, I was fighting the ocean, but I wasn't really fighting the ocean. I'm fighting myself.
For sure you were.
Right? So it's not, I'm fighting myself every day. Like I've done so much fucking work, and I want to be this like free, let go, calm, yet a total assassin in business and leader, and just fought. Like I'm trying to be all these things, and I don't know how to become this person other than doing what I'm doing to become this person. Yep.
And that's okay. This is your journey. This is how you will get there. The entrance doesn't matter. The exit does. Forging
yourself. That's a great one. Forging yourself through what makes you tick, and forging myself through what makes me tick. And we've known this, right? That we're gifted for each other, and this yin and yang, this dark and light, negative and positive, right? Beautiful and ugly, beautiful and beast, right? Beauty and beast, right? These type of things of what our whole relationship's been built off of.
Yeah.
So it's actually been rather simple. If you look at it, you take a step back, it's like, we know who Mark is, we know who Kendra is, we put them together, and this is what we got.
Yeah. And I don't try to change you. You don't try to change me. And I let you feel and do exactly what you need to do for you. And you let me do and feel exactly what I need to do for me. And together we're just happy individually and great together.
So I want to wrap this thing up. We've been going for like 40 minutes. I get a lot of feedback, a lot of people that love listening to this thing, and specifically guys in the inside. I think you could hear an important line right there. Kendra doesn't try to change me. I don't try to change her. We try to build together to find harmony, to live a simple, pure life that matters to us.
And that's it.
Right? And no one else matters after that. Excuse me. Well, my voice is dry. I've got to film some videos.
Need some water.
That's it for this week's episode of the Comeback Couples. Do you have anything you want to say?
Nope, that was perfect.
Okay, that's it for this week's episode of the Comeback Couples podcast. We'll see you all next week.
Peace.
Peace out.